So as we see the rolling out of a quote unquote predicted or prophesied war, or a biblically prophesied war, you'll notice that the culprits are all three world religions. All three of them. You got Christians, you got Jews, and then you also have Muslims. So I made a video before. It was called, I think it was Sun and Moon Worship, Astrotheology, and something like that. But it went into detail about how these religions, because they weren't doing what they were supposed to be doing by humanity, they haven't done the right thing by humanity. It was only right that you put them on trial and prove that, they aren't what they are. And I did that for that reason. Like, if they was doing what they are constructed to do, being that they are instruments that the people believe come directly from God, but the people don't take them serious, don't take the teaching serious to the point where it's able to prevent humanity or people from, being adverse to the book. So if it was, then you would have no right to, come out and say, these people aren't doing right by the world, and it's wrong. You Christians need to stop. Man, and you Jews, and you must. But they haven't done anything right by the world. You have to understand that these religions, and before, because I don't know what's going to come out my mouth. So if you're a religious person with a religious spirit, you can, and I'm not going to disrespect any religion or anybody's personal view of a religion. But what I'm going to do is give you an understanding of how religions have played a role in the destruction of humanity. It sets humanity back hundreds of thousands of years, if that. But religion has played a negative role in the presence of humans in this world collectively. That's what they have. That's what religions have done. So if you don't take into account King James with the slaughter of all those persecuted witches, suspected witches, if you don't take into account um, the the Muslim and Christian crusades, if you don't take into account um, the Jews and um, the killing of the children and sacrificing of children and stuff like that, then you're not looking at things through spiritual eyes. Now, turn that heater off. Now, I told you before, and the reason why I've given that information was because, it had to be given, because there's super, arrogant people, super arrogant people like this guy, Nathaniel Bishop. This guy is super arrogant, and they believe that they have the truth. You know what I mean? Christianity, he says that Christianity is a perversion of the truth of Christ. You know, and this is orchestrated. This is an orchestrated religion, and you also know that these aren't really, 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 really um them. This is a display because of these acts that are about to roll out. This is this religion and that region against that region, and this is what you call a world war. And it has to take place in a spiritual sense because spirituality and religions run the world. This is what is used to control people. So, in order for us to engage people, we have to use what it is that it is to control people. If we want to engage you, we have to use what it is that we use to control you. If we want to entice you or hype you to get into something, let's offer you money. Oh, okay. What I gotta do? You know what I mean? You can't offer somebody that's something that they don't value, but people base their lives around, these religions. And like I stated, they have done so much ill in the world that it is only right that, we address it. And again, because, I went, kind of, light on y'all before with the astro theology, with everything pertains to the sun, the moon, and the stars, you know. But I'm going to give y'all more in-depth detail so you could actually, either put an end to this so you can move forward and grow as a people, or, you can fight amongst yourselves or wrestle with the cognitive dissonance amongst your own self, but not with me, because I'm not I'm not one to tongue wrestle with. I'm not one to get upset. I am not one to trigger, because some people they you don't want to get them upset at all, you know, because they do have people that are connected to the elements and that can manipulate certain things around them. This is where you have people's anger and wrath, you know, causing floods and earthquakes and stuff like that. So you don't really want to, you know, get bait a person into any kind of, you know, enrage or get a person enraged, you know, because some people have an influence. I'm only giving you what I know, because one time, I was on the phone with Apple. Was it Apple? Yeah, it was Apple. I had got an iPad when I went to Atlanta. Somebody stole my iPad, and I had bought another iPad off of somebody, and I had reset the iPad and then got locked out of the iPad, you know, and I bought the iPad fair and square. And when the woman that was on the receiving end told me that um the iPad is stolen, it's locked out, and you can't get into your iPad, and I was explaining to her that I resetted this iPad myself. It has my um email and iCloud account registered to it, and she was just not being um understanding. So I had got so furious with trying to explain that to her that got I broke out in a sweat, and a flash flood just came about. A flash flood just came out of nowhere. So, the Freemasons know that too. Freemasons know that some people can control um certain elements. They know that. But these people are Freemasons, and they don't. You don't really want to. You know what I mean? You don't really want to. You don't really want to go there with me, bro. You don't. You don't want to go there with me. So by being online, you see. the ongoing back and forth again with the Christians and the Hebrew Israelites to the point where they have many and many and many groups of them. They get many groups. Let's see. Let me see if I can pull up one. Let's see what all they're gonna come up. There we go. These right here are all combative um, groups, and they're not just any kind of groups. They're gate kept groups. These groups become, you can't come in here because this isn't for you. You understand? So this is what they have. All these types of groups. If you was to come in here and even try to be a peacemaker. You've come in here and told them, like, yo, son, shut these pages down. Son, don't y'all know that y'all serving the devil by sowing discord, bickering back and forth? Close these things down. And they simply refuse. And I told them that if Christ came on here, you people are so stiff-necked that if Christ came on here and told y'all to shut the page down, you would still keep it up. But that's just people. People need something to be proud of, to fight for, to take sides with, because of the the works of the devil in them, the division, the divisiveness in them, the need to feel as though they have the truth when they may all in all actuality have falsehood. So again, uh, if you are anyone with a religious spirit, you don't have to, check this out. You don't have to, subscribe to me either. I don't need you to, none of that. But what has to be said because this isn't, it's not just, that's why. I mean, it's not just. So we have to make things um, right that are wrong. So if we know that, these world religions are um, leaders and doing wrong, then we would have to, confront them. And, whether people, agree with it or not, that's up to y'all. That's not my problem. My problem is you are quote unquote representatives of God. Me, I'm a child of God. I'm a son of God. Why do I call myself a son of God or a child of God? Came here through tied tubes. Man and woman didn't want me here. It was life was meant for me to come here. So I have a right to assume, yo, God brought me here. What God is life, and I'm here right in front of you now. No, God is. I'm a child of God. Because if it was up to mankind, I would have not been here. So when you're speaking about God and I'm hearing you and I'm seeing you and I'm supposed to keep my head down, keep my mouth shut, no, they're misrepresenting God. They're misrepresenting God. I don't care how many numbers you have, how much garments you put on. The Pharisees does the same thing. I don't care. You know, that doesn't make you holy and righteous. You people are not righteous. If you was righteous, you would fix things that need to be fixed, especially things of the past. Whether you're Christian, whether you're Israelite, whether you're a Muslim, whatever. If you was righteous, you'll fix things in the past that you can so that you can move forward now, and it has a better effect for you in the future. So we're going to show you, you know, the the ongoing thing about um Hebrew Israelites with Esau. Esau is, the white man is Esau, and these tribes, and the Italians, and this is Esau. Come on, dog. It's not Esau. Esau is the son, bruh. Esau is a celestial body. Jacob is not a person. Jacob is a personification of a celestial being. That's what Jacob is. Uh, Jacob is a personification of the moon. You are moon worshippers. Moon worshippers. You know, moon worship. You see suns. You see this. You see the symbol in your boy Yoshi-Yo's face. Oh yeah, you see the symbol in my face. The sun and the moon. You see the moon and the sun with the Masons trying to have the moon and the sun. You see the um Arabics, the moon and the sun, the Arabs or the Muslims with the moon and the star. You see the Jews with the star. You know what I mean? You seen the Iranians with the lion, with the lion with the sword in front of it. You seen all that. It's all, what I mean, astro theology. There's no such thing as Israel. There's no Jacob ever. It's a system, not a people. It's a astrology put into a story form, as with the Mazaroth. These things are going to be presented to you, and hopefully from there you either be quiet about it and tiptoe around, because you know that there's people that know the truth, the absolute truth, the God honest truth, the undeniable truth, to the max truth that you can't argue with truth, you know, for real. Because deception is the worst enemy of humanity. It's the greatest weapon of the devil is deception, not even division, deception. You know what I mean? So if you are deceiving people by trying to make them believe things that aren't true, then you are in cahoots with the devil. You know what I mean? With Satan, with evil men and women, with the people destroying humanity. You know, if you are a part of deception, I am not with deception. And if I ever mistakenly misinterpret something, I will correct that. You know what I mean? But that's just me. That's just me. But, you know, these things are going to be presented with the intentions of bringing peace, because now, what purpose of you fighting for when you know that that's not true? If you say that's not true and that's not true, where are you going to be fighting for? I mean, what are you going to be fighting for? Huh? What are you going to keep going back and forth for? To fight against the truth, you're going to lose. You're going to lose. You're going to have to bury the truth. Huh? You got to take the truth out of the picture in order for that to be, and that's not going to be. So, we just wanted to, allow you to know that, we wanted to allow you to know that, you know, you're going, and by you understanding this alone, you're going to understand what's going on, because this is a stage war, and it's not prophesied by God. This is orchestrated by mankind. Mankind is a wicked beast, orchestrated by mankind, like with all other wars, orchestrated by mankind through deception. So jacob Jacob himself is a deceiver. They call him a righteous deceiver, but that's from a biased perspective. See, when you are when you are one that is not on this side or that side, you can call things what they are. You can, you know, you can give it to you straight. No, well, I'm trying to defend this side, so yeah, he's a righteous. That's deceit. Deception is wicked. The whole setup of the story was wicked. You one version of the story, you trick your brother out of his lentil soup, or you trick him in by out of his blessing by giving him lentil soup. Then your mother, you know, helps you deceive your father by putting hair on you. You know, it's another form of, you know, unrighteous deception. You trick your brother, steal from him. Now, I mean, you know that the blessing is better is greater than what it is, and you steal his inheritance. You know, so we do have, history of people stealing inheritances, brothers stealing inheritances. But again, these are astrological events, as with the Mazarov. But as you can see that, he's a deceiver. Jacob the deceiver. The deception of Jacob. The life of Jacob in the Bible, from deception to prince with God. See, whenever man, controls certain things, he corrupted. So they can sway you into accepting certain things and rejecting other things, with the understanding of um, solar and lunar worship. You will understand that when it's lunar, it's anti-solar, or if it's solar, it opposes lunar. And these things are ancient stories. Before we had TVs, we looked up at the skies and created stories out of the skies. Where we had griots, where we had scribes. What did they base their scribes off? The astrological movement of heavenly bodies, the moon, the stars, the sun, and the other planets. So this is what we don't understand, that these religions are found on ancient astrological stories, written from a perspective of humans, as above, so below. Mm. Look, something. The moon is about to hit the cloud. What's the name? Ran into a car. Michael was walking and he walked into a car by mistake. You know, so you could make stories up from what you see up there to down here. Let's say there's a farmer and he had 12 horses and 4 barns, and he rode each one of them for 30 days. You know, for it, so that would be the moon, right? The 12 months divided by 4 seasons for 30 days, 30 days each. You understand? So that would be a form of moon worship, but it's written from a story that is a farmer. It's a farmer with 12 horses and they're all spread out in 4 barns. Jacob, 12 sons and 4 wives. But he actually had 13 children. They omit the woman because at some point in time they became anti-woman. Woman couldn't have no kind of say so in these matters. So at one point in time, but at another point in time, woman was the matter. When we have um other people that uh had certain influence on cultures, when we're talking about people like Isis, when we're talking about people like Ishtar, when we're talking about the Mentor, when we're talking about Diana, when we're talking about people like that, Tiamat, when we're talking about stuff like that, that's ancient. Those are still ancient um, stories that are written from an astrological perspective. You know what I mean? Marduk and Ishtar and this person and that person. We had Billy Carson tell you that Marduk was a literal being when they was actually astrological beings, astrological beings that was put into the human form. This was the ways of the world for humanity. And then after that, that's when magic came, and after magic, that's when religion came. So it's all this evolution of practice that led up to today. What's against those practices? Are you understanding that? No, you're not under. Well, Jacob is the form is what you would call deception. Anything pertaining to Hebrew or Israelites is pertaining to the moon, and doesn't matter who the character is. The main character is personifying the moon, because these are a moon people. Then you have the children of the light, then you have the children of the night. You're either a person, or you either being from the sun, or you're being from the moon. The moon is the silver. 30 nights or 30 pieces of silver. The moon, 30 days. So we're getting to this, which is the devil's work. The devil's work is deception. The devil's primary work is deception. And he employs even that alone, by you attributing a gender to the devil. Now you're looking for the devil to come in a he form, and that's the same thing with God. You put an agenda on God. Now you're looking for God to come in a he form. That's deception. Uh, that's deception. And again, deception is one of the hugest crimes against humanity, by making you believe certain things that simply are not true. It's simply not true. Because first and foremost, everything is submissive to life. You know. So in order for man to be, or God to be a masculine, then that means that you're void feminine. So you're either masculine or you're either feminine. So you're taking one gender and placing the title of God on that gender, you know. So we're we're talking about deep rooted deceptions, even with certain slight things as a he or a she, when talking about things that are objects that can be, you know, not even attributed to a gender, that can be gender neutral. So the devil can be gender neutral. If God is in everything and all is God, and then that means that God can be in everything, and everything can be identified as God that's living, because God is life. Life is without life there is no God. So you can't be man and not have life. You can't be woman and not have life, especially being amongst the living. So God is the God of the living, which is life. But he employs various subtle devices to deceive and outwit others. The devil's deception is often disguised as something reasonably appealing, leading people away from God's word subtly. You know what I mean? They'll do it subtly. You know what I mean? They won't say, son, I'm about to tell y'all, because first and foremost, you know, God's word is etched in your heart. It's etched in you. And if it's not in you, then you don't have God's word. If God isn't speaking to you, and you're not speaking from an area of, this is a divine revelation, then that's, wouldn't be something that would come from the divine. Like when a couple of days ago it was revealed to me, that if people knew the truth about this world, or the secrets of life, they would become worse. They would become worse. And the reason why they would become worse is because from then until now, all the atrocities and violations and crimes against life and in the world in general, it has desensitized people to life. And if you knew certain truths about it, then you might, you know, you might become worse than what you is now, because say, I wouldn't even give you that. I wouldn't even give you that because there's some people you just have to learn. And what else is, but they have to know the truth about this world and the secrets about life in order to be better. That is oxymoronic. That's oxymoronic, but it's a divine message to humanity. If you knew the secrets, or if you knew the truth, you would become worse. However, you need to know the secret. You need to know the truth so you can become better. That's you know, the deception is often disguised as something reasonably appealing, leading people away from God's word subtly. He is a master of disinformation, feeding lies and half truths to weaken faith and create uncertainty. By understanding the tactics of deception, believers can strengthen their foundation in God's truth and remain vigilant against the devil's schemes. The devil has schemes, you know. The devil has schemes. What is the devil's scheme? The devil's schemes are deception, division, um, to control humanity through wrath, through lust, through envy, through hate, through all these um things that the devil would use to control humanity. That's the same exact thing that we see here. The schemes. Schemes. Again, the righteous can't scheme. The righteous can't scheme. So again, we had Jacob being identified as the righteous schemer. He was a righteous deceiver, and the righteous can't scheme. We cannot scheme. We cannot plot. We cannot plan. We cannot set people up. We cannot steal. We cannot, and without, you know, correcting, anything that we find morally incorrect. So these are certain things that you have to know about the wicked. And Jacob, again, is the moon, matter of fact, is associated with deception. The upright moon card turned is a card of deception, potential illness, most likely mental health issues, mood swings. But this is just that in, from um, a tarot perspective. But here you have the moon symbolism. The moon has been an important source of symbolism and mythology throughout history. It is a celestial body that illuminates the night sky. Its waxing and waning phases provides light. The dichotomy of light and dark is reflected in many cultures' interpretations of the moon, with most viewing it as representing duality, renewal, and life cycles. Let's get to because I haven't read this, so I don't know where it's at. And y'all don't want to give it to me. Mm, unless there's another one down here. The moon is commonly perceived as an embodiment of secret or hidden knowledge. It is believed that its power can unlock secrets and tap into a person's innermost thoughts and feelings. Its energy can be used to gain insight into our relationship with others. Shadow and illusion. The moon's dark side has long been associated with shadows and illusions. It is seen as a representation of the hidden aspects of life, often linked with difficult emotions such as fear and grief. The moon is also linked with deception and trickery, as its ever changing appearance can be seen to symbolize the instability of truth. This association has been linked to stories of gods or goddesses who tricked humans through their lunar powers. So, understanding that before, the Hebraic version of other stories, there was other stories where there was these beings personified as the moon personified as beings, especially with in Egypt with Amun Ra. And Amun and Ra is the same thing. Esau and Jacob, the same exact thing. The sun and the moon. You know what I mean? And it's the people that had made them or venerated them deity, as deity. So illumination, illuminate. Illumination. Then you got the negative interpretations. But y'all can check this out if y'all want to. But we're going to get back to it. So there's this right here, the Maseroth, which is ancient Hebraic study of astrological bodies that preceded the zodiac today. And these particular signs and symbols were ordained by God to create. It's biblical, So you turn to the Bible. The Bible is full of wisdom. And through historical and past events, through trial and error, was able to come up with working systems for humanity, civilizations for humanity. So um, astrology becomes one. There's the cross here, straight down and around. That cross symbolizes the sun. That's the sun, but it's the four seasons here. It's divided into four, and I'm not sure if they got all of them on here, and they do. So you have 12 signs here, and it's either going to be attributed to the sun or the moon. And this is where you can create stories on. You can make um, a person billionaire with 12 houses um, in four countries. You can have a jealous, ex-wife that wanted half of everything, so she only got half. So that's the when you see the moon, that's because the moon only got half of what he had, but he was a rich, wealthy person. He had 12 homes and it was in 4 different countries, and he traveled there of 30 days each out of the year, and for a couple of other days he stayed a little bit longer, you know. So there you have a story about the sun and the moon, where here's a half a moon. The sun divorced the moon, and the moon only got half. You get it? But that's just a story off a fly. Like you just made that story up just right now. But this is the Mazaraf, and it is from um, Hebrew. You know what I mean? This is from the Hebraic calendar. Even though there's 13 months, even though there's 13 children, and or there's 13 months, one is always omitted to save faith for equality, so that it'll be equal, you know. And that's just in that sense. But as far as the calendar, you will see the similarities between the Babylonian calendar and the Hebraic calendar, and how they both shared the same events, and these are different people. So again, this isn't about a people, it's about a system. It's the Babylonian system, then it's the Hebraic system, then if the Canaanites get it, then if the Egyptians get it, then when the Egyptians get it, the Phoenicians get it, then the Persians turn into this, then the Persians turn into Arabs, and then the Arabs turn into Muslims, and then the Muslims turn into, you know, and it becomes religions, you know, they become identified as beings as opposed to them being actual um heavenly bodies. They are just depictions of what transpired up there, you know, down here. Like when, you know, Jacob had the wrestling with the moon, you know. When you had Jacob wrestling with the moon, that's or wrestling with the sun, that's a lunar eclipse. A lunar eclipse, you know, a lunar eclipse. When they eclipse, they would appear like they embracing, and you know, story wise, you could say that he wrestled with him all through the to the break of dawn, and he begged him and just begged him and begged him to bless him, and he said, you know what, I'm gonna bless you. You know, matter of fact, your name is gonna be Israel. You know, one that struggled with God. I'm gonna call you Israel. So that is the birth of the Israelites. Somebody that wrestled with God, you know, wrestled with God all night and begged for a blessing. And uh, he got a new name out of that. I'm gonna call you Israel. Uh, so ancient stories and traditions often depict the eclipses as ominous events, with various cultures attributing them to gods, monsters, or divine entities. For instance, in ancient China, a solar eclipse was seen as a sign of the sun being devoured by a dragon. That's what it would look like in China. That's a dragon! Oh, engulfed it. Oh, he spit it back out and just left. Leading to rituals to scare off the beast and restore daylight. You know, and that goes back into, you know, the ritualistic sacrificing of people. They believe that it had some sort of effect on these cosmic events. You know, these events was believed to have omens to people. So by you not understanding that, son, these are, you know, ancient, make up stories for our entertainment. You know what I mean? It's to entertain us and put us in awe, and, you know, to engage us as people before TV, before, you know, big, concerts and stuff like that. Well, you did have, the Romans that was into the amphitheater, and you had Greece that was into the amphitheater, and you had all these places that had big coliseums where they sat and watched and was entertained. But what were they entertained by? You know, so in In South America, the Inca viewed solar eclipses as a sign of the sun god's displeasure, and leaders would attempt to appease with sacrifices. So, in the ancient um, Inca in South America, they believed that the solar eclipse, oh man, God is upset with us. You know, who do we have up for sacrifice? You know, so that's where, you know what I mean, a lot of them and their belief system. You know what I mean? So again, solar, lunar. mm, In Vietnam, the legend of a giant frog swallowing the sun is a common tale, while in Javanese mythology, the god of darkness, Batara Kala, is said to swallow the sun. In Andean mythology, a puma devours the sun. And in Choctaw legend, a mischievous black squirrel gnaws on the sun. These stories reflect the diverse and often dramatic interpretations of eclipses across different cultures. So, can you imagine, people literally believing that Jacob was a physical man that wrestled with God? Can you believe that there's people that base their lives on being a descendant of a person that wrestled with God? Uh, you can't. And not only that, but proudly embrace that as somebody that this is where I come from. Oh yeah, my ancestors stole from his brother, and he's mean and wicked, and he's white man, and ooh, we hate him. Yeah. You believe that? Esau is red all over. Esau is not red-headed. He's red all over. The sun would appear red all over. You know what I mean? Even a blood moon would appear red all over. But Esau is red all over. And then the moon, then the Jacob, Cleve comes out after him and cleaves onto his heel. I don't saw pictures of um Hebrew Israelites painting two different complexions of people, but saying that they're brothers. And the white man with red hair, and then there's the black man with the black hair, and they're rival enemies and they hate each other. You know what I mean? Because Jacob stole his birthright and he's upset about it. Didn't he sell it because, didn't y'all say that he sold it because he was he, he didn't want to live or something? I don't know, but yeah, that is weird. So the ancient understanding of eclipses was not only a source of fear, but also a catalyst for cultural and religious practices. In Hindu mythology, solar and lunar eclipses are believed to occur when the celestial gods Rahu and Ketu swallow the sun and moon respectively, leading to fasting and prayers to ward off evil. These stories and traditions highlight the profound impact of celestial events on ancient societies, shaping their belief rituals and cultural practices. So this is what you have with that. They shape people's um, belief and their rituals. like blowing of the new moon, blowing of the shofar. Every time it's a new moon, we gotta blow. We gotta, observe the Sabbath, and the sun up to sundown. And if you're a Muslim, you pray towards the sun, and you wait for the month of such and such, and to observe this. So the moon and the sun is markers and identifiers for certain religions, and those people are not understanding that it all stems from ancient Babylon, from ancient Summer, and ancient, just ancient practices that preceded them of solar and lunar observation. So I'm not, one that's going to tell you, yo, to get out your religion. Stay away from your religion. But like me, I know, better than to, submit to certain things that I know about. You know, that's me. That's me. I'm not everybody. And how certain people are is not everybody's cup of tea. Maybe that's a form of um, social acceptance. Maybe that's a form of um, brotherhood and sisterhood, which we are not against that. But what we're against is the blatant division, the scheming and setting up traps, and staging wars, and people believing deceptive things about certain things that was written from a deceptive standpoint by the same people, by the authors and the authors of division, of chaos, of confusion, by the authors of them. So, and they have a history of doing that. So that's what we're adverse to. You want to deceive people, then if people want to be deceived, let them. But if they don't know the truth, aren't given the truth to be like, hold on, dog, I could either believe this or I could believe that. Because one thing I believe was that everybody told me that, Jacob was, a real being. But this right here is telling me that, there was ancient stories about um the moon and the sun, but they was always personified as something else. And it was just laid on me that, hey, those stories are the same exact stories, but in modern form. And they are telling me that these are actually real and true events. They're telling me to take something that I'm not supposed to take literally. Uh, and do you still embrace? It's up to you. Do I still embrace, or do I let the truth set me free from that? Because that's what it's called, the truth. If you got people going around spreading all sorts of hate and spewing um discord, and all in the name of my religion is right and your religion is wrong, y'all doing it all wrong, it's all about this and it's not about that, then we are going to have to, you know, be the one that, you burst your bubble. And sorry to put it like that, you know, that's what happens, you know. But, you know, the Mazarah is here, you know. This was ancient in the 6th century. Mosaic in the Beth Alpha synagogue in Israel. Beth Alpha, you already know that alphabet, we're talking about Greek. Here we go, Helios Zodiac. Helios um, is pertaining to the sun. It's pertaining to the sun, or either Helenin, which would be the name of Greek, which would be the Greek name of it, But this is what it looks like. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Huh? Uh, 12 of them. Understand? So these was ancient. It was from the 6th century. but they have always dealt with astrology. It's the reason why these religions tell you to stay away from astrology, because you may understand where they come from. You may understand where it come from. You know. So Esau is often viewed as a personification of the son in various interpretations of biblical texts. In the Hebrew Bible, Esau is the older twin of Jacob, and his redness and hairy appearances symbolize the sun's warmth and brightness. Esau's character is associated with the sun's energy, representing strength and vitality, contrasting with Jacob's more subtle nature. So, in the Hebraic religion, all of the forefathers was always one that they call Hakatan. Hakatan is the lesser or the smaller. So it was always about the underdog defeating the big dog. You know what I mean? And that's where you get these stories from. The smaller light beats the greater light. You know, it's the lesser light, and then there's the greater light. The sun would be the greater light, you know, and then the moon would be the more calm, relaxed light. So the Kabbalistic interpretation suggests that Esau embodies the raw, untamed energy of the world, while Jacob represents the more structured and disciplined aspect of existence. Esau's actions and traits are often linked to the son's influence, reflecting themes of power, desire, and the consequences of sin. These interpretations highlight Esau's significance as a symbol of the son in both physical and spiritual contexts. So you do have that, of Esau being synonymous or tantamount in certain ways to the sun. So Esau would be the sun and Jacob would be the moon. So these are not your descendants. You did not descend from these people. We did not descend from them at all. These aren't real beings. You know what I mean? They're not real beings. So is Maseroth is the biblical Hebrew word found in the book of Job, Job 38 and 32, whose precise meaning is uncertain. Its context is that of astronomical constellations, and some judge it to mean a specific constellation, while it is often interpreted as a term for the zodiac or the constellations thereof. The similar word Mazalat in Second Kings 23, verse 3 through 5, may be related. According to 10th century biblical exegete Sadia Goen, it literally means constellations, while others interpret the word as meaning various concrete astronomic bodies. Saturn, the seven planets, the Hades, the northerns and southern crows, the southern ship, the Argo Navis, or Sirius. The word itself is a Hopix legomenon, a word appearing only once in the text of the Hebrew Bible. In Yiddish, the term mazalat came to be used in the sense of astrology in general, surviving in the expression of mazel tov, meaning good fortune. The appearance of the word in Job 38:31 appears in the context of various astronomical phenomenon. 31, can you tie cords to Pleiades or use the reins of Orion? Can you lead out the Maseroth in its seasons? Conduct the bear with her son? These are all, astrological, you know, things. The bear and uh, I just wanted to, elaborate on that with you, because we have so many people that are misled, that are misled and are misleading people, through deception, through deceiving people, you know. through deceiving people. So that was my friend Brian. And that was cool, but I know that sometimes when he likes certain things, you know, you'll have see it's just an ongoing strife thing that you personally, as one that um can say, son, break it up, man, give it up. For what? Why do you keep going on and 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 on? You know, because like I said, they have an agenda to usher in a new world order, to bring forth a fourth stage war. And after they bring in a staged war, that's going to give birth to a Messiah. And the Messiah is going to be a stage. He's going to be a false Messiah because he's going to be a spawn of those people. And those people that I'm talking about are the ones that normally orchestrate and set things up. And if we were going or heading into anything new and greater, and we're setting we're planning righteousness in the ground, then we would start seeing those things sprout. But what we see being planted is AI, which have, if you look around, is super deceptive. This is how you know that it's a device of the devil. One of the devils, or the devil's primary um tactic, is deception. So if you see that nothing on this planet is more deceptive than AI at the present moment, they can make me look like I'm doing something I've never done before. They can make you look like you just shot up a hole, you know what I mean? They can make her look like she's out there, you know what I mean? They can make them look like they're gangbanging or shot up, you know what I mean? The AI can do that. AI can make me say stuff that I've never said before. AI can do that. AI is very deceptive. It is advanced and exceptionally deceptive. The things that you see on there, you have to question your reality. Like, hold on, dog. Is that real? Hold on, bro. Let me bring that back. Let me see something. Let me see. Was that actually real? Nah, that couldn't have been real. I said, nah, that couldn't have been real. Nah, that couldn't have been real. Oh. No, it's an AI form. But if you've seen this, you can see this now. You can just imagine the effects of um what's to come. What's the super version of AI? What's to come with it? How deceptive can it actually be? You know, so it is super deceptive, and it's coming from a deceptive people. People that deceive people. You know, AI man. I said AI man. I said AI man. AI. AI does this. You know, so I wanted to share that, and I don't even. That's up to y'all. That's something that doesn't control me. I mean, that's something that isn't my driving force. That ain't something that has me by the collar, and it tells me where to go. You know. I use, sound and, righteous judgment. I have a sound mind. So I'm not one that needs anything outside of, the mind that is the house of God. You know what I mean? It's the house. And I don't need anything to, you know, make me say, hold on, dog, that's not what it says right here. You got to understand that these books been around for thousands of years, and the wicked been on this earth for longer. You don't think those wicked people got a hold of them books and switched them and bent them and folded them into their liking? You think that they're that sacred and that holy that they are not to be tampered with by people that simply don't care nothing about deceiving people? You think that for real? You know, movies mocking, you know, Jesus, people mocking Jesus, and rappers mocking Jesus, and everybody mocking Jesus. People saying they would. You think that, the wicked won't get a hold of a book and use it to deceive you? In that same book, I read it, and I see wisdom in it, and it can be beneficial if applied. The law can be good if applied, but it's not something that people apply. Like, again, the most evil, wicked people that I've met. I'm now what I'm seeing is the Hebrew Israelites, because they're insistent. They're not giving up on forcing this stuff in front of your face. So they're being as evil and wicked as the evilness in Christians that I experienced. I've met good Christians. I've met good Christians, and I've met the most evilest. Ah, that I can possibly, meet. And they were all in that, because that's not in them. Only what they have in them. This is what I'm with. It says right here. Look, read that. What does that say? As if God is not going, God doesn't talk now. God don't talk to you. If God talked to you, what you need a book from 4,000 or 5,000 years ago for? You know what I mean? To give you instructions, to tell you like, yo, son, it's Gog and Magog. This is orchestration for, the wicked. It's their orchestration to bring in another order. It's their orchestration. You know that. I know that. They bring up the Antichrist. Maybe that Antichrist may be the real Christ, because the Antichrist is running rampant, right? We've been running rampant all this whole time. Huh? Antichrist been running rampant this whole time. You was told to do something by a person that you call your provider, your protector, your nurturer, your savior, and you refuse to do it, and you are against that, then that's the Antichrist, huh? You know how many people would come and attack me just for, hey, such and such and such and such and such and such. You're gonna get it. So we're gonna go to. Okay, do you know that not nobody to be played with, right? Okay, you sure that you're good? Only thing that they can do is use physical might and try to bully you, and like they did in the book, go pick up stones and try to stone you. That's the only thing they can do. They can't use wisdom or scripture to prove, that, oh, dog, you got it wrong. No one's going to be able to pick up a book with scripture and go back to the story of Jacob and say, son, here it stayed right here. He was born on this particular day, this date. He's born, buried right here. It's right here. These actually events. He did live. You know what I mean? He did live. You do see that. And oh, you see right here. This is where Judah is, and this is the kid. This is the descendant of such and such. This is that. No one's going to be able to do that because this is the ancient astrological belief. You know, and like I said, deception has to come to an end because it's one of the things that's destroying humanity, that's crippling humanity, that's putting humanity in a tight and confused state. You can't move anywhere, and it's just confused. And only thing that you can do is just, fight with your neighbor. Fight with your neighbor there. Who's just a Christian neighbor? Jewish neighbor? Muslim? You Muslim? Somebody called me a Muslim, bruh. You know what I mean? And I'm not anything. These stars and symbols are ancient symbols. You know what I mean? And they don't represent anything other than life. Other than, son, you're with the vision. I'm with the original. I'm with where I came from. I'm with the source. So if you sever yourself from the source, you're going to not have that flow of wisdom and knowledge that you need. Well, you got that sun. This star right here it's not the Muslim star. It's called the Urs Gamma star, and it's the star that was depicted over the baby Jesus' head at the time of the wise men. It is not only that, it's also described as a dodecagram, which means that it's a 12-pointed star that symbolizes the 12 astrologies, the 12 tribes of Judah, the 12. You know what I'm saying? They represent 12, while the moon represents feminine and the sun represents masculine. This is people collectively. And if we're not getting into us being collectively and still want to deal with this religion and that religion and this religion that's about division, then we are not advancing or excelling and reaching any kind of heights. No new earth, no new nothing, because it's the same old thing wrapped in a gift gift wrapping and hand it back to you, and you open it up, and just because it has a different name on it, you think it's different, but it's from the same company. It's from the same exact people. But that's what it is. Jacob is the moon. It's not a real man. Esau is the sun. It's not a real man. This is a part of human history. Us observing the astrological bodies and identifying um identifying them, then writing stories about them that's relating to us, relating to us. So yeah, I just wanted to share that. I just wanted to share that with y'all because, you know, not saying that it was never a time when they like people was Hebrews, or that um religion didn't exist and that language didn't exist, but it didn't come from a being. It came from um a ushering in of that. It came from this fades away, then this comes in. That fades away, then this comes in. This comes in, then that fade away. And this is what's going on right now. Something is about to fade away and something else is about to come in. You know what I mean? So, and but that's what I'm saying. That war, dog, is staged just like every last single one of them, every last single one of them, you know. And you do have the Albert Pike telling you that it's staged. You have the letter from Albert Pike, dated back in August 15, 1871. Some people say that this is conspiracy theory, and some people say that you know It's an actual doctrine that was laid out, even back in 1871 of what they were going to achieve. Again, we do know that people have the ability to influence events. When we have the Simpsons, and then they have events after the Simpsons, and we be like, oh man, the Simpsons just predicted the future. That's deception. They didn't predict the future. It was predictive programming. They made it already and set up the event, and then I mean, then they set up the TV show and then rolled out the event. It's that simple. It's easy. It's what they do. It's simply what they do. Tell me I talk too much. But here we have, this. If you wanted to go check this out, they're talking about World War One, Second World War. You know what I mean? The Zionists and the Nazis, and after the Nazis, then the nation of Israel is created from that. Then this, you understand how everything is systematically made. After the Nazi war, they had the land called Israel, which they went over there and created that never existed until after the Holocaust. The Holocaust was something that had to happen, and it was orchestrated to happen. It's the same way with World War III, man, guys. Oh, it's in the Bible. It's the Gog and Magog. And it has to happen because you see it written. No, it's the wicked people that normally orchestrate things that don't have any kind of business orchestrating, and you would relate these people as God. These are people that you would call or believe that are God, and they simply are not. They are people in the possession of divine wisdom that isn't theirs at all. That is who they are. So that's what happened. That's how Israel came about, through deception, through the Second World War with Germany, which brought forth um, um, Hitler, which brought forth the Black Panther. The Black Panthers was a black squadron of the Nazis, and then when they came back to America, they became um kind of like fell back. But then hold on, we can make a political party and make it militant and police the neighborhoods, but not just police the neighborhoods, but police the neighborhoods. You get it, you know. So that's where the Black Panthers come from. They're always been a government thing. No, 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 it is what it is. And again, I know, I know, but taking advantage of the differences caused by the agentur of the Illuminati between the political Zionists and the leaders of Islamic world. The war must be conducted in such a way that Islam, the Muslim Arabic world, and political Zionism, the state of Israel, mutually destroy each other. Meanwhile, the other nations, once more divided on this issue, will be constrained to fight to the point of completely physical, moral, spiritual, and economical exhaustion. We shall unleash the nihilist and the atheist, and we shall provoke a formidable social cataclysm which, in all its horror, will show clearly to the nations the effect of absolute atheism. Like, this is absolute atheism. Y'all sure y'all don't want this? Religion? What religion is it? You'll see. Here. Satanism. That's right. You know what I'm saying? So it's they're breaking your defenses down so they can, make you get something for protection. Get it? Break your defenses down, like, oh, don't hit me. No, don't hit me. No. You know? You need something to protect you now. because they don't broke your defensive down. You don't have no defense up, so they're going to make them completely annihilate themselves. Make Ukraine and not make because that that stage too. They all stage make Iran and such and such. You know what I mean? So the war must be conducted. They said it must be conducted. Mutually destroy each other. We all know that Albert Pike, you know what I mean, his big boy G, his big G, you know, he has books out, Morals and Dogma, and there's other books that Albert Pike has out, you know, and yeah, he's that. But again, this goes into um conspiracy theory, but we see how um ancient the letter is, and even if it's um not an authentic thing, these things are already written, and you do see them playing out. You do see them unfolding before their eyes, and you do see, excuse me, you do see cuz right here being the speaker of, for Israel. The great war has begun, and we do know the symbol. And every time you see it depicted in a picture where he could have just took a picture like this. But just like with all of your um uh, um influencers, you but Iran Muslims are not adverse to Freemasons. Christians are not adverse to Freemasons. Um, uh, um, Jews, all of them are in cahoots with Freemasonry. So there's no way for you to know who's actually who and who's really authentic. Then there's no way for you to be like, hold on, dog. I know that is stage. You know what? Yoshi put me on that before, man. Y'all be staging events, man. I just seen that president in the press conference and he's taking the picture, pointing. I seen such and such, and he took the hand picture like this, or he's like this, or he's like this, or they're like that. So, yeah, you know, these are, you know, Decepticons. Decepticons. I never know what that. I never knew, like, I mean, the reason why they want to call them that is because they're dedicated to deceiving. They're dedicated to deception. And there was a person that, I mean, like I said, it's all just propaganda. But he was on his page, and he stated that the black people have the power to either make the world better or something. He said black people have the power to make the world better or the power to, and no, they don't. They don't. Not black people. And again, you're not putting black people down. Righteous people have the power to, change the world or make the world better. Righteous people, not wicked people. Wicked people is benefiting off of the world being wicked. But righteous people against or start or want to start being righteous, then that's when you would start to see change. When the person that was over there, not knowing that, hold on, dog, I can, you know, be assistive. I can do something. You know what I mean? I don't like how that looks over there. I'm going over there and changing that. You know, those people are the ones that can make sure the world change. You know what I mean? And it takes courage. This takes courage. Because what the thing you're against is the multitudes. If you're not with Christians, what is Christians? Christians got, you know what I mean, millions of followers, millions of people. You got Hebrew Israelites. Hebrew Israelites is, I mean, they hateful. They hate other blacks. If you're not a Hebrew Israelite, if you're not one of them, they're hateful. You know what I mean? In the Bible, they was responsible for Christ. If that's the same people, then what they did, what happened to Christ, they was responsible for it. You know what I mean? So this takes courage. You know, things like this takes courage. Let's sit around and let people that all agree that they're right sit around and point at you and say you're wrong. It takes courage. Oh, it takes courage. It takes courage. No, look, Catholic priest salute Hitler. Catholic youth rally, Berlin. I never saw that. Well, here you go, Hitler again. What was this? Oh, Hitler. Okay. But like I told you, Hitler was always a Freemason. I mean, Hitler was a Mason. The old world order infiltrates Masons and calls themselves the New World Order. Now that's the thing. If those ain't Masons that's really doing it, then I mean you really want to apologize. Now again, I told you it's not for to pull them out and expose because everybody's. I mean, there's nobody in the world that's that's um blameless unless you're one that is as excused by God. You're exempt by God. Being exempt by God is, let's see what that means. In the Bible, being exempt by God signifies a state of being free from obligations, duties, or consequences that others are subjected to. This concept is often seen in various contexts, such as Levitical exemptions, where the tribe of Levi was set apart from religious duties instead of military service. The Sabbath, the Jubilee year also provided exemptions from regular agricultural work and debt obligations. Additionally, the Passover exemption from the plague of the firstborn in Egypt is a notable example of God's grace in setting apart his people for specific purposes. I mean, so there's a way for certain people, because they're being used as sacrificial lambs for the divine or for God, you know, they have a, a, an exempt thing. You know what I mean? So when you have to go amongst um, thieves and you're amongst wolves, you you know what I mean? You have to be shrewd. You have to be, you know what I mean? You have to be so you're exempt with your shrewdness. You're exempt with your your presence amongst them. Like, son, wasn't you just walking with wolves? You're a wolf. Nah, dog, I had to be there. What you doing on Facebook in all of these groups and you bickering back and forth? I'm not bickering back. I'm giving them things and leaving. I'm breaking up them. I'm being the peacemaker amongst them. You're not bickering back and forth. I'm no better than that. I have more. I have so much control over, my response. You know what I mean, to anything. And that's a beautiful thing. You mean your ability to control your response and your reactions to certain things. It's beautiful. You know, but yeah, But like I said, if they not, if it's people that infiltrated them, because we do know that that's where Illuminati come from. They infiltrated the Freemasons, and then it was going to get their knowledge, their last hidden knowledge, but then they wasn't able to get it, and then they created the I guess they annexed themselves or became one with each other. I don't know, but all I know is that when y'all go looking at people, when when you take a interest in looking into people, and those particular people are seers, you will be sought, you will be seen. I mean, and we will see everything that you do, and that's it's only right. It's righteous judgment. If you are one that's spying on a seer, then it's only right that you get seen. I mean, and you can't get upset when that seer sees all your secrets. You know, can't you can't get upset. And some of those secrets are revealed because they have to be addressed. So, are y'all going to let this thing roll out and say, "Well, it was God, it was biblical," or are you going to say, "Son, these people are master um, authors. We live in an authoritarian world. Everything is scripted. They script everything. They told us this almost 1,000 years ago that there's going to be a war, and it's going to trigger a uprising, and then the Messiah is just going to rise up out of the sea and say, "Hey, y'all, stop that! I'm here now," and everybody's going to just submit and say, "Hey, man, look, he's back," you know. And they're going to control. They're going to have a puppet regime with that. You know what I mean? With cuz puppetry. Before we used to control y'all through the musicians and the entertainers and the news reporters, but now we have the actual being of Christ here. He's the Messiah. Yeah, send those people. Tell those people they can't. Send those people over there. Freeze and tell them to give them. Uh, that's how it goes. That's how that goes. So, you know, we're yeah. But that's that. That's that. That's that. But if you was to go down to everyone who commented on my last post asking what did Yahshua die by crucifixion and asked for proof from the Tanakh, here is proof from the Tanakh, and it's all in Leviticus 23 from Passover to Shabbat, Pentecost. There's these are 4 feast days. People is there. Christians and what's his name? Torah, the gospel. Well, well, they do this. Jesus plus the Torah is another gospel, which is no gospel at all. There and in this mountain shall the Lord of hosts make unto all people. They're not going to respond to that. Babylon, I mean, America is fallen. Your pastors are not the shepherds God sent to prepare nor warn you. Or third 3:24, and if a kingdom be divided against itself, that kingdom cannot stand. And Cuz made this 2 hours ago. I've probably been online 2 hours ago. But this is a person right here trying to give you shepherd, like, son, don't you understand that they're going to roll out something you probably already agreed to, because a lot of people already took bribes. A lot of people don't took bribes. This is the reason why they're stuck and they owe the devil. But a lot of y'all are already with these things. It's so, but you can, that's what I'm trying to tell you. You can turn away, because some of us have the power to forgive. You know what I mean? Even the wicked. Some of us have the power and the authority to forgive. Some of us do. You know what I mean? Hey, you have it. You're going to wait for them to produce a false Messiah for you in order for you to realize that, son, if he says that he can forgive, he has nothing but unconditional love, unbiased, understanding, and he can, empathize, and he can do all this. I mean, let's give that a chance. What do we have to do in order for us to get right? What do we have to do? Hmm? A couple of things that you can do. And you can do them, I mean, just like that. But yeah, just told you, this is all about the kingdom being divided. Know what I mean, Christians divided against Israelites. Israelites divided against Israelites. Crips divided against Crips. Bloods divided against Bloods. Jews divided against the Jews, and Muslims divided against Muslims. You got Sunni Muslims, Shiite Muslims, Ali Muslim. Well, I think Ali would be in Shiite. I'm not sure, but you know, cause division. And here I am, neutral in the middle. Uh, y'all break it up, man. Y'all stop, bro. Peace, man. Y'all not children of God? Ain't y'all supposed to be peacemakers? No, y'all men and women of God. So y'all going to fight your cause and say that y'all right and they're wrong. That's what men and women of God do. I mean, they're going to fight. They're not going to be. And this guy, you know what I mean? People are, you know what I mean? He's a Christian. You know what I mean? But again, all black Hebrew Israelites that cannot dispel the science that the black African is not the children of Israel should realize that the truth is that the black African is not the children of Israel. There are no other religions that can claim to be the lost tribes of Israel. There are other religions that can claim to be the other lost tribe of Israel. One is the Mormons. They are also dispelled by the same science. My hope is that you can see the truth. Science is not a religion. Science is a systematic study of the physical and natural world through observation, experimentation, and testing to understand how it behaves. I can give you the truth. Jesus Christ, the Son of God, that bore your sins so that you could have salvation through the blood of Christ. That is the truth. You know, that's, you know, it's the form of him, spreading the gospel. It's the form of him spreading the gospel, but, it's bickering back and forth, working, wasting his time on petty quarrels. He does this all the time. Tell black people that, son, y'all are black Africans, as if Africa is the only region that they came from. I mean, where you're described by your region. Your region is who you are. You're from that region. Oh, you're uh, Fiji. You Fijian. Cause I what? Why? Cause you seen black people on the Fiji island, or no? I'm not. I'm come from life. I come from God, cuz. I mean, and no one, regardless of your religion, is going to make me believe otherwise. I came through Tide tubes. My mother was like, son, I don't bring this here. My father was, you know what I mean, wasn't doing good, was on drugs and stuff, was on heroin, and you know what I mean, my mother wasn't, you know what I mean, certain that, this can't be what it is. And when he checked it out a little earlier, your boy Yoshi-iye wouldn't be here right now. It wouldn't even be here. You know what I mean? But by the time she realized I was pregnant, it's a little bit too late. You know what I mean? Like, hold on, dog. And what she should have did was sue the hospital. What she should have did is malpractice. Son, I came in here for a vasectomy. You, son, yo, what is this in here? She should have sued the hospital, man. Now I'm here. And I'm in front of you telling you that, son, she should have sued the hospital. Because they didn't want me here. But I'm here. But I'm here. So, yeah. Oh, here we go. Before we do, we're going to show you how, you know what I mean, the Israelites ripped them. You're trying to understand the scriptures that wasn't meant for you. You're trying to understand the scriptures that wasn't meant for you. That's why you don't get it and understand Esau, but you're missing the real message. Take and understand Esau. That's why you don't get it and understand Esau, but you're missing the real message. Take a step back and think about what you're really searching for. You're just mad because your Lord and Christ is not coming to save you anytime soon. Science is racist. They say black people come from monkeys to justify their bestiality instead of just telling their family you love a black queen. People, people. Bunch of morally decent people going to hell if they don't trust in Jesus. You won't make it in heaven because you left your gang or give $5 to the homeless man every morning or even cleaning up the community, all noble things, but none earn salvation. You know, only through Jesus could you get heaven. I mean, and again, that goes back to where God told me personally that if people knew the truth about this world or the secrets about life, they would become worse. However, they have to know the truth about this world and the secrets about life to become better. They will become worse if they knew, but they have to know them to be better. You know what I mean? Because that is a person's angle towards you to get into a religion. If you don't serve this, then you going to hell. You know, that's their standpoint. And it's a lot of people's standpoint. It's a lot of people's belief. I mean, which, again, if you knew the truth about this world and the secret about life, you would be better.